You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
The 2016 Trump joke that sparked a national reckoning, based on an article by D. Earl Stevens. The monster was built in public, not a fluke, a construction. The source is strongest when it stops treating Trump as a personal insult and names him as an outcome. He did not float down from nowhere. He was assembled in public by Republican ambition, media degradation, elite cowardice, and a party apparatus willing to profit from rot it claimed to fear. Yes, his anger is justified. Its deeper truth is uglier. Trump was not an interruption in American politics. He was the logical product of a right-wing ecosystem that learned it could lie, inflame, and keep moving. The people with power knew. The article names the usual enablers: Jeb Bush going silent, Lindsey Graham warning Trump would destroy the party and then serving him anyway, the KKK openly loving him, a campaign staffed by racists and hangers-on. That is not chaos. That is consent from the top. The powerful did not lose control of Trump. They licensed him, excused him, and then adapted to him when it became useful. The lesson is not that elites were confused. It is that many of them understood the danger and chose access, ambition, and party loyalty over democratic restraint. Misdirection is part of the crime. The piece correctly refuses the lazy fiction that Trump is some isolated aberration, but it still leans hard on Trump as the face of everything, which can become its own distortion. Personalizing the disaster makes it easier to skip past the machinery that keeps producing men like him: donor power, partisan media, the normalization of racism and cruelty, and institutions that reward performance over responsibility. Trump is the symptom that gets photographed. The disease is the coalition that made him governable. The damage was policy, not mood. The source lists the casualties: clean air and water, women's rights, voters' rights, health care, and support for the poor. That is the real record of authoritarian politics, not just insults and indecency, but organized extraction and demolition. Trump did not merely coarsen the culture. He helped weaponize the state against the people it is supposed to serve. When the essay calls this a terrible beating, that is not rhetoric. It is an accurate description of how power works when it is turned downward. There is no neutral center. The article is right to reject meeting in the middle with bigotry and authoritarianism. That is not polarization. It is moral accounting. There is no symmetrical conflict here, no civility script that can cover for a movement built on grievance, humiliation, and minority rule. The mistake many Democrats and liberals keep making is pretending the fight is about tone rather than power. It is about power. It always has been. The side willing to lie, suppress votes, and break institutions is not asking for compromise. It is asking for surrender with better lighting. The pattern beneath the panic. The larger pattern is simple. Democratic systems decay when elite actors decide the short-term payoff of enabling cruelty is worth more than the long-term cost to the republic. That is what the Republican Party did. That is why its institutions rewarded, and that is why outrage alone is not enough. Trump matters because he reveals how many pillars of American power were already rotten before he arrived. The real scandal is not that one man was awful. It is that so many people with authority recognized the awfulness, kept going, and called it politics. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article, with the automated voice of Ryan. Thanks for listening.